Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Good morning to everybody out on the West Coast. Good afternoon, everyone out on the East Coast. My name is Larry Compton. I'm Senior Instructor and Technology Evangelist for Ocean Systems, and I will be joined today, or am joined today, by Charles Garino, our Vice President of Sales. Charles will be helping me throughout the presentation and certainly at the end, addressing questions and answers. We're here to talk about QuickDME version 4.1 and what is new. I see several existing users in the webinar, as well as many new people. If you've never been in one of our webinars, we'll be taking questions throughout. So open up the questions panel in the GoToWebinar control panel and pop that out, and you can submit questions throughout as they come up to you, and we'll do our best to grab those throughout the webinar, and then at the end of the webinar make some time to address as many as we can. With that said, let's get right into it and talk about what is all new in QuickDME. QuickDME, digital evidence processing and management. The key thing to know about QuickDME for those that are new is that it is designed with you in mind in order to accommodate your existing workflows, your existing processes, and automate and expedite, secure those processes. So for instance, evidence ingesting. The same forms you're using today can pretty much be reproduced using custom fields so that any officer without any evidentiary training whatsoever could, technically could come up and ingest evidence in a very standardized, secure, integrity verified way. So you don't have to change how things are being stored, where they're being stored. Do we hash, copy hash? Do we burn evidence to disk as our masters? So on and so forth. All those things can be completely customized, and you don't have to use all of the solution. QuickDME can touch so many processes and automate so many of those processes for you. Some of our users just leverage various components of it, as you'll see. But standardizing that ingesting, storage, and even processing now is really critical. And certainly SOPs and everything go a long way. But paper processes, obviously, have gone by the wayside. We want to, automate all of that. But maybe more importantly, leverage our existing resources. Our storage, our network, so on and so forth. What about those cloud solutions where your evidence management solutions that are cloud-based, entirely cloud-based, certainly many advantages and disadvantages. Not often talked about the disadvantages when you get into a cloud-based solution. What happens, several years down the road when you want to get away from that cloud-based solution? Well, QuickDME, everything is stored the way you want it stored, hashed. Those hash records are all maintained. And should you ever walk away 10 years down the road, your evidence is stored the same way it is today, and you have all of the hash records, as well as your own database to work with regarding the metadata. So a lot of flexibility in this solution. Far too much to cover in one webinar, but we're going to expose you to the new features of 4.1, detailed auditing, history, controlling who can access evidence, who can view it, disseminate it, copy it, all of these sorts of things. QuickDME puts you in control. Of course, one of the key features, managing and associating those proprietary digital CCTV players. So we can create associations for, proprietary extension XYZ that are specific to the case you're working on, or we can create associations that are global to QuickDME and all QuickDME users, which is quite handy because in many cases, versions are very important when it comes to the players and software for these proprietary digital CCTV files. So it's essentially a Ron Popeil type of solution, right? Set it and forget it. Once you have it set up and configured with your agency information and logo, how you want things stored, system settings. Do you want to force, adding keywords to files during ingest? Do you want to auto delete your evidence from the original temporary storage, that flash drive that you inserted? Once it's been verified, hashed, copied, and hashed into the QuickDME server, it can auto delete that evidence from that temporary storage source for you. And of course, all of that is audited. We've talked about workflows and how QuickDME has grown into a processing solution. Workflows can be set up such that it completely automates a lot of your processing. And if you're in a multi-technician, multi-analyst environment where multiple people are working on your cases, well, you can create a custom field that says this case is assigned to, Detective Smith. And then when Detective Smith logs in, he can search for all of his cases that are assigned to him and only work on those. So a lot of flexibility with setting up the solution to fit into your existing environment. With that said, the new features with the 4.1 release, as you may know, we've been working on the 4.0 release for quite some time, and a lot of great features, a lot of existing user feedback, which we are very conscious of. We take our users' feedback very seriously, and it's helped us develop this tool into the solution that it is today, and that continues. You'll see some of the new features that were recommended by end users. First and foremost, though, what's new is our QuickView LT video player. When we were developing more features for QuickDME, one of the things we wanted to do is develop features that were available to you may not be a full-blown QuickDME user. You just want to, what's the first step after integrity verification, right? You want to interrogate your file. You want to view it. You want to check out metadata and make some decisions about how you're going to develop the workflow for this possible case. And that's where QuickView LT's new video player comes in. It'll play any Ffmpeg supported file. It's accessible from the Windows right-click context menu, which is really nice. And we put some features into it for basic review, interrogation, and documentation that are pretty handy, including our new metadata report. Our new metadata report, which I'll show you here momentarily, will give you the complete report from EXIF Tools, Media Info, and FF Probe. And then it's going to produce a 3-column summary page comparing those 3 tools, including MD5 and SHA-1 hash values, and you can save that report right out to PDF or HTML. In addition to the metadata viewer in QuickView LT, we've put in integration to Omnivore's Ffmpeg Convert. So those of you leveraging Omnivore, Omnivore Ffmpeg Convert, which can be leveraged for bulk processing, converting to uncompressed, extracting frames, rewrapping, running additional reports. All of that is accessible right from the QuickView LT video player, as you're about to see. And then, of course, one of the things that I love most about Omnivore's Ffmpeg Convert is the detailed logs and saving those detailed logs, including Omnivore Ffmpeg version information, Ffmpeg library version information, commands used, Ffmpeg output. All of that gets saved into a log file for you. So one of my favorite features of the Omnivore Ffmpeg Convert. So we'll take a look at QuickView LT. We've also taken some steps to reorganize and rework our send to options for processing within QuickDME. So our new default QuickDME send to options are categorized as you see on your screen here. We have interrogate metadata and visualization, which includes macro block display, exporting video with the macro block and motion vectors displayed, hashing frames, hashing streams, rewrapping, all pretty self-explanatory. But better yet, now admins can organize their own user-defined send to commands. So you've always had the ability to add your own send to commands when you're in Access DME, looking at a piece of evidence, interrogating it. You can simply right-click and send to Photoshop if you set up a user-defined send to command, or whatever other third-party, Audition, so on and so forth, whatever other third-party tool. Well, now you can categorize those commands in such a way that it works best for you and your users. Another huge time-saving feature is our automated derivative ingest with version 4. So if you're leveraging our processing options through QuickDME Send To, after doing so, as always, you get the option to save the log, but it will also ask you, do you want to re-ingest these derivatives? And if so, it'll automatically start that process for you, and you simply have to click a few buttons, as you'll see. A huge, huge time saver, also used on our image redaction feature. Another big time saver is the create local copy on ingest. So if we're thinking about digital evidence workflows, and the first thing that we do when evidence comes into our possession, hopefully integrity and chain of evidence obviously is at the top of the list, preservation and then integrity, right? So what we're typically doing, and the challenge that we had in some scenarios was, well, we have to ingest our evidence first, for integrity, to get that hash, to make a working copy, to validate the hash, that working copy is a valid copy. And then we would copy it out of QuickDME if we were going to work in a third-party solution. Now, you can do that all in one process. If you have permissions, you can simply create a local copy on ingest. It'll include the hashes and a CSV file, so everything will get ingested into the system, validated, and then once validated, it creates a copy on your desktop or wherever you direct it to, all in one process. So you can get right to work on your evidence. So some really, really huge time-saving features, which we're going to show you here momentarily. But before I do, I want to talk about the 30-day demo package. We've provided an all-new 30-day demo package for installing QuickDME because it leverages a database. You used to have to install SQL separately or leverage your existing SQL in your network, so on and so forth, often involved, getting IT together. No longer the case. We now have one 30-day demo package exe installer, and when you download that installer, it's going to install the latest version of our QuickDME software, the 4.1 version, as well as, if necessary, Microsoft SQL Server Express. If your system already has SQL Server Express, well, it won't install it. It's just going to create a new database in your existing SQL Server implementation. You'll get the demo database and assets, some sample cases and videos, things of that nature, as well as 3 user licenses. So you can get in and check out different permissions and how they work when you're assigning different permissions to different people and features, as well as, of course, guides and tips throughout the interface on using the solution. The demo package requires Windows 7 or newer. However, Windows 10 is highly recommended. We tried to make it backward compatible and went to great lengths to do that because we do have customers still leveraging Windows 7 out there extensively. So Windows 7 or newer, 2 gigs of available storage. The important thing to note here is the .NET Framework version 3.5. This is a requirement for the demo installation only, and it's for that backwards compatibility with Windows 7, 8, and 8.1. It is a Windows feature that's already on all of those OSs, Windows 7 through Windows 10. You simply have to turn it on, and we go over that in our README file related to the demo installation, which I'm going to show you. To get it, just go to our website, support, downloads, QuickDME, as I'm going to show you, and you will see where to download that file. So let's take a look real quick on the website. I'm going to go over under support to downloads, and where all of our software is available for download and free trial. I'm going to scroll down here to QuickDME and see the latest version, release date, who it's available to. And down below, you'll see the release notes, release history, and the link to our download request form. Simply submit that form for the software, and upon submitting the form, it'll automatically start your download. The demo package download request form is just above here. So if you click here, it's going to take you to an FAQ that goes over some of the things I just discussed, as well as that README file, which will talk about system requirements and that 3.5 requirement. So all of that available on our website. Simply go ahead and then download the EXE by completing and submitting this form. It's about 1 gig, 1.13 gigabytes, so it might take a second, but that single EXE will get downloaded. And once it does, you simply run it and follow the prompts on your screen to complete the installation of our 30-day demo installation package. Well, where does that leave you? As soon as installation is finished, you'll notice these two icons get added to your desktop. Our Access DME, which is the tool we use for browsing evidence, processing evidence, viewing evidence, and then a folder for QuickDME, which includes shortcuts to all of the tools within the QuickDME suite, as well as the user guides, Access DME, so on and so forth, and our new QuickView LT Quick Start Guide. So some tips on leveraging the all-new QuickView LT. Let's take a look at that. Before we pop into Access DME, why don't we go ahead and take a quick look at that QuickView LT video player. I've got some original media from a case here, all different types of sources. I'm going to pop into this in-car and grab one of these files. And you'll notice in my right-click context menu, QuickDME play with QuickView LT, much like with other solutions, and a QuickDME hash check comparison. So if this were already ingested into the QuickDME solution, I could compare the hash of what's in QuickDME with this file. I just want to play and take a look, see what we're dealing with. This is the all-new QuickView LT video player. A simple way to quickly preview your video files, gain some valuable information, interrogate those files, and make some decisions about your further processing. So a real quick overview of the interface, relatively simple controls to understand, play, step forward, so on and so forth. And you'll notice over on the far right side, though, I want to point out that we have some basic metadata displayed. You'll see stream information, but this metadata panel is actually providing a way for you to also copy this information to your clipboard. So either right or left click on the metadata, and you'll see copy metadata to clipboard, and that's going to copy all of this information into a text. So if I just copy like that, and let's say I'm working in Word or what have you, I can just paste all of that metadata information right into a Word document or what have you. If I want individual fields, same way. If I just want the packet position, I can click on it and copy the packet position to the clipboard. You'll note the native dimensions down here at the very bottom, 1920 by 1080, and that aspect ratio that represents. Above are the dimensions over here on the right of how it's displayed in our QuickView LT preview or video player. So that's the size we're currently viewing it at. This is the native size. Well, I want to take this frame and just throw it in with that metadata in this report. You'll notice this all new copy frame button. Simply click the copy frame button, frame gets copied to clipboard, and then I can come over and paste that into an application such as Word or even Photoshop. I'm not sure what, Charles. So you'll see it's going to go from my clipboard 1920 by 1080, and I can just bring that frame right in and get right to work with Clear ID if I was to do some work on this frame, etc. So a quick, easy way to get frame information and frames out of your video file, but let's get some more detail. We really need to interrogate. I'm going to jump past the Omnivore button, which will send this to Omnivore's Ffmpeg Convert interface, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But before I do that, I want to interrogate this file and understand a little bit more about it. So I'm going to do the metadata viewer, view metadata. If you click on the view metadata button, that's going to run all of those reports I just mentioned. EXIF tools, media info, ffprobe. You can see it's a tabbed interface. So I have my complete EXIF tool output I can scroll through, media info, ffprobe, and then a summary report which shows the file dates and times, MD5 hash of this file, SHA-1 hash of this file, as well as a summary table comparing the output from EXIF tools, media info, and ffprobe. You'll see parsed version information of EXIF tools, media info, and ffprobe, etc. And then some good general information. Now this report can be saved quickly and easily to PDF by simply clicking the save icon in the top right corner, and you have some options. Do I want to include EXIF tools? Do I want to include media info, etc.? Do I want to obfuscate the file path? So the file path of where I'm playing this file from right now, it's going to obfuscate the path and just show the name, and then just OK. And I'll save this as Metadata Report, and that'll get saved out to a PDF file with 4 pages, one for EXIF tools, one for media info, one for ffprobe, and then a page with the summary. Before I close out of our brand new metadata viewer, I also want to point out the copy button right next to the save. This copy button is going to copy the text of this entire table. So if I just click copy and then go back over to either my QuickDME notes or Microsoft Word, I can paste that table into a document just as well. So quick, easy way to get metadata information from multiple tools and compare that information right from our metadata viewer. So the copy frame, copying metadata fields, our metadata viewer, and then of course Omnivore Ffmpeg Convert integration. Now, Omnivore Ffmpeg Convert, we've heard a lot of great things from customers, particularly the batch processing, so on and so forth. For those not familiar, our Omnivore drive, our screen capture, uncompressed forensic screen capture and reporting tool, has been leveraging Ffmpeg Convert for a number of versions now. I think 3.1 we introduced Ffmpeg Convert, where you can simply play, preview, process any Ffmpeg supported file, and like I said, save all of the Ffmpeg related logs along the way. So the Ffmpeg Convert interface, I won't go over in too much detail. We're here for QuickDME, but you can preview the files, etc. If I'm doing a batch, I'd have a file list here. If I dropped a folder in, we can extract frames, uncompressed, compressed. We can extract audio. We can convert to lossless or uncompressed. We convert to compressed. We can do multiple things at once. We can run reports, convert to multiple formats, etc. One of the really powerful things, of course, is that XML ffprobe frame information report. If you haven't seen the frame information report from Ffmpeg, and which a lot of third-party tools are leveraging these days, I want to show a neat little feature that's now included in not only Ffmpeg Convert, but we'll also see it in QuickDME. So I'm just going to do the frame report. It's going to start with a file name prefix of the original file and ask me where to put it. Let me drop this into my exports folder, and I'm going to simply say OK to run this frame information report. You'll see Ffmpeg's output processing above. All of that gets saved into the log file, as you'll see. But maybe more importantly, those that have dealt with these XML files know that probably best leveraging Microsoft Excel, right, where we had some really cool capabilities for sorting and filtering and viewing all of this information. Well, look at this. This is the Omnivore Ffmpeg Convert XML viewer, a handy way to preview these files even if you're out in the field. We can now look at that complete XML report. We can look at audio and video samples. We can select just video or just audio, get some basic information about the types of frames. We can apply custom colors, choose which columns we want included here or not. So on and so forth. So our XML viewer just makes it really simple and easy to get right to that XML report and view it. Better yet, with 4.1, we have included that capability inside the QuickView player as well. So I've processed that, saved my report. Now I can simply save that log. I'm going to go ahead and save that and call that Ffmpeg Convert XML log. Save that right into my case folder, and we're all done. So I can close out of there. So QuickView LT, outside of Access DME, to quickly preview, copy frames, run reports, interrogate files, copy metadata. Really, really quick and easy way for people to preview and interrogate and begin developing their workflows for processing video evidence. Let's take a look at it inside Access DME now. So as I mentioned, Access DME is our solution for viewing and managing and copying and printing and processing your evidence. The QuickDME solutions comprised of Access DME as well as Quick Downloader. You'll see Quick Downloader down here in my taskbar. This is the utility that will auto-detect any new evidence ingested in my system. So if I mount a new drive, I ingest a USB drive, it's going to auto-detect that. Access DME is the solution for browsing and managing. So we're going to launch Access DME. After you've installed the demo, you'll see those two icons. Simply double-click on the Access DME icon, and it's going to determine if you're in a demo database, it'll pre-populate the demo user, 111, and the demo password, 123. Which is inside that README file we mentioned as well. All you have to do is simply click OK. It'll go ahead and launch Access DME and open up Access DME to our default layout settings. Furthermore, it's going to do an automatic search for all cases in the demo installation. So you'll note all of the cases came up listed over here on the left side. Just did a wildcard search here. We can search, of course, by any of the fields within the solution, which is what makes this so powerful. So if I wanted to search for, hey, who's assigned this case, I could search for all cases assigned because that's a custom field that I added to my case form. Or maybe a custom field I added to my download form. Includes video. Does this download include video? I want to see all ingest that include video, et cetera, et cetera. So very, very flexible, quick and easy. But a quick overview and layout of the interface, our search window obviously on the left. Our QuickView preview window is top center. Bottom is our items window and the new case notes tab. So you'll notice Windows may have multiple tabs. And by default, we have the items and notes tabs in this window. Top right is our case tab and our download tab. Bottom, file information and audit information. So when you select a case, you'll note that it's going to populate some general information about that case, how many files, the size of them, as well as it popped over to my notes tab and we've entered some basic notes on navigating QuickDME, how to search, viewing evidence items, so on and so forth. So throughout the demo, you're going to find some of these notes describing how to leverage QuickDME in the particular workflow. The other thing to note is when I select this case folder, you'll see the case tab gets populated with what was entered. And if I select a folder underneath it, these are downloads, yellow for a download folder, meaning an ingest of evidence. You'll notice it automatically flips over to the download tab and shows all of the information regarding who collected this, who ingested this, when, so on and so forth. Again, flipped over to the audit window down below, and you can see all of the audit information about who's viewed, copied, leveraged this evidence. And the other tab, if we select a file here in our items, is our Metadata tab. Now, all of these windows can be moved around to your heart's content. So if I want to put them off onto different displays, I want to resize them, I can do all of that, put them on my third display, which is really nice because then I can take case notes, as I often do, and put it onto a separate monitor. I can put my metadata full to the side like this, so on and so forth. And then we can dock it back to where it was, or pull this tab out. Maybe I just want the download information on another window, so on and so forth. Oh, having a little problem with my layout settings because I've been playing with it so much this morning. But it's very, very customizable and easy to make the solution work for you and your current environment. Whoops, let me bring this one up. And so case information. Let's put it up here, and then download information, put it in the same one. There we go. And so we're back to the default layout, and we can get right into some assets. Let's look at the this case, cell phone videos, for instance, and an ingest that was done under the cell phone videos. So we have a few different cell phone videos here in our items view. We can view things by thumbnail, list, tree, which will show the original folder structure. So if you have subfolders, and this is the original folder structure from the original evidence, all of that is maintained. And we can leverage all of the QuickView LT features within Access DME as well. So we can copy frames, send to Omnivore Ffmpeg Convert, or run those metadata reports. One of the other new features is that send to menu changes and the automated derivative ingest. So let's take a sample here. I'm going to grab a short file that's quick to process. If I come down to download and view, I have my QuickView. I have, because I have permissions, my ability to leverage my Windows default viewer. If it was proprietary and had an associated viewer in QuickDME, I'd have all three ways available to me for viewing this file. But the send to menus have been completely reorganized, and you can see here with QuickDME, we now have the ability to do things like, hey, I want to play this with macro blocks and motion vectors and see those macro blocks and motion vectors. I don't want to create a new file, I just want to play it that way. So there we go. We can now see macro blocks and motion vectors. We can, of course, go back, send to, we can even export with those macro blocks and motion vectors. And as I mentioned, hash the primary stream. So if I was to rewrap this, I could hash the primary stream and then rewrap it to MP4 or MOV and hash that one's primary stream and confirm that those streams are exactly identical. Same with every frame. We can hash every frame in the primary stream, so on and so forth. Extract all frames, iframes, convert to a number of formats, including visually lossless and uncompressed, DNX for Avid, so on and so forth. So a lot of capabilities built right in. But let's try that automated ingest. I'm going to go ahead and just export this with macro blocks and motion vectors. Yep, I want them all. Say OK. Tell it where I want to put this, and it's going to go to my exports folder, which I have on my desktop, and save. It's going to process that file, and once it's done, it comes up and says, I can save log. You'll also notice re-ingest output as derivative. Include the log. Yeah, let's do that. And I can, at this point, simply click close, and it's going to automatically re-ingest what it just created as a derivative to the original. So it's associated it to that original download folder, created that record, stored a bunch of information about what was done, visually lossless macro block, here's the commands used, etc. All we have to do is simply enter who collected this, when, who's ingesting it, and any comments. So macro block, etc. Includes video, yes. these are custom fields that I'm going through. So does it require processing? No. Now anybody can search for, those custom fields, etc. And then simply click OK. And it's going to ingest that QuickDME, interrogate metadata and visualization, derivative folder is added, and here's my log file, including all of the Ffmpeg output, as well as that macro block and visualization file encoded and saved for us. So the process works the same as far as the automated ingest for all of our Send-Tos features, which really, really saves a lot of time. Excuse me. One of the other things I mentioned that was new was our new Notes tab. Now, historically, you've always been able to enter notes on a case, like you see here, or enter notes on a download folder. So I can come over and enter notes specific to this folder I've selected, or derivative folder. I can add notes to the derivative folder, so on and so forth. Well, now we can even add notes to items. So individual items can have comments or notes. So I can add just a text-only comment if I'm in list view, or I can just flip over to the Notes tab, add text-only notes. You'll see the delete option only because this user has admin privileges to delete notes. We wanted to give you those privileges in the demo so that you have the ability to see most features. If I want HTML, it's as simple as clicking the WYSIWYG editor and adding whatever HTML I want. I can paste in that metadata report, for example, etc. Here is a formatted note. So we can paste images in there. We can paste anything into that WYSIWYG editor and have our notes done. So for instance, maybe if I wanted to grab a frame of video from this macro block in motion vector, maybe this is my frame of interest and I copy frame, I can come over to my Notes tab and just paste that frame in. I can go back, copy the metadata, paste that in, etc., and post that as a note. Then notes on items, downloads, and case folders, again, all permissions-based, but I can save those out as well. So maybe I want to save them out as an HTML file or an Acrobat PDF. And I can just click Save, and it's going to save out my notes as a PDF file exactly as entered in the interface, which is really, really nice. Quick way to preview, interrogate files, and add notes to cases, files, folders, etc. And get that out for dissemination. So that is the all-new Notes tab. As I mentioned, other additions include the new comments field, which was a customer-requested feature for entering just basic comments. And then the tag field for when we're working with photos, because crime scene photography, adding keywords and things of that nature can often be very, very helpful. And that's where this solution started, as a crime scene photography solution, managing crime scene photography. So if you're in that space, certainly a lot of features that we haven't even talked about specific to that, only allowing photos from certain cameras, certain firmware versions, et cetera, et cetera. But I can download and view the photos here. If I have permissions, I can view them in my Windows default viewer, and it'll download and open up on my other screen. If I want to view a video file with my default viewer, I simply download and view that file with my Windows default given permissions. And so now I have multiple ways to view, multiple ways to get to these files and leverage them. And don't forget, everything gets audited. So when we copy evidence out, when we send things to a send to command, when we do any processing throughout here, everything is audited, and we have multiple detailed reports for addressing that.
Larry,
Charles,
could you touch
on
the
do an ingest? Is there any?
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say when we were doing the notes, there's also private notes.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So on notes, we have the option to add private notes. And again, because we have admin, you're going to see here is a private note, and they can be HTML as well. And when they're posted, because you are an admin with permissions, you're seeing private note. If you were logged in as one of the other demo users, 222 or 333, you wouldn't see that note. So we entered it on sample photos, right on the download folder for sample photos. So I'm going to log out and log in with one of our other demo user accounts. Instead of 111, I'm going to use 222. And same
so the
password.
password's the same on all three of them?
Okay. That's correct, yes. The password is 123 for all three users. And three users that are in the demo are 111, 222, and 333. So sample photos, and if we go back to this notes tab, you don't see a note because I don't have permissions to view private notes. Same with items like photos and things of that nature. If when we're ingesting photos, we need to mark them private because of the content, etc., that can be done through our tagging interface. So we can edit our tags on the photos and add keywords to the photos and mark them sensitive. And so this is a sensitive item. And when I save and close this, yes, what's going to happen is that file is going to be marked sensitive. Now, I didn't have permissions, but you'll see, sensitive item, I don't have permissions to even view this sensitive item with that 222 user account. So everything is customizable in regards to locking things down and including the notes, private notes feature.
Can I chime in for a second?
So the last thing I wanted to do, and I know we need some time. Absolutely. While you're doing that, I'm going to start an ingest of some evidence to show the new local copy. Go ahead. Yeah.
So I just want to highlight that.
Right-click on bold.
Just want to highlight that there's several ways to think about QuickDME, and if you're using it as just you're a single individual, you have it on your computer, you have your local storage, maybe it's RAID storage, you simply set up your storage location, and you are going to be a power user to all the features and be able to access everything the way you want. Versus you can have multi-user environments where you put QuickDME on a small local network, a work group, or on a domain, in which case you have multiple people logging in and you can restrict what cases they can see, what privileges they have, whether they can read, export, all the above. So it's kind of two different workflow environments of how to think about it and what you can do with it. So you're just a single user, you're doing this stuff anyways, you're using Windows Explorer. This is, you're going to get evidence, you're going to browse it, you're going to want to look at it, you're going to start creating folder structures, nested folder structures, and then ingesting evidence. You might be a copy hash person, you might not. Best practices probably would dictate that you do want to do those types of things. So in a single user environment, you just set up your nested variable folder structure of how you want your evidence stored, and you're just going to simply check it in through QuickDME, Quick Downloader. It's going to put it in all those nested folders determined by the fields that you want leveraged in those variables. And then it's going to hash it, copy it, hash it, give you the report. It can purge the media you got the evidence from if you want it to. That's just an option. So I just wanted to kind of highlight the difference between an individual person using QuickDME and the flexibility to even start that way and start to, at some point you go, okay, I'm using this, I'm comfortable. Now I have this new employee that wants to get involved in this. All the SOPs of how you want it done is already set up. You can then migrate your database onto a shared storage device and just log them in as a second user.
Right. So I wanted to, thanks so much, Charles. Great to point out, because that's what we've spent an awful lot of time on for version 4, was making this a solution that not only could, scale domain-wide or across your entire network, but really to address the majority of folks out there, the individual users, the small labs and things of that nature. We have clients with thousands of over 1,000 licensed users. We have clients that are just individual users, and it works great in all of those environments. The last real key feature I wanted to talk about, and there are so many others that we won't have time to touch, is the make local copy on ingest, because I can ingest, stay with my same standardized forms, custom fields, etc., and create that local copy so that I can get right to work in my third-party tool. To do that, I simply have to, when I'm filling out my form for the ingest, ingesting my evidence, I simply have to enter my password to sign in and get permissions. That's 123 again in this demo case. And that opens up my override capabilities, meaning I have permissions when I'm signed in to override tagging. I don't want to tag this file. I don't want to remove the files, so on and so forth. I can now check and uncheck some of these options, including make local copy, tell it where I want that copy to be made. I'm going to make it to the desktop, and then just begin downloading. Now, it hashes, copies, hashes, and then it'll create any reports depending on your preferences and tell you that the download has completed successfully. So here I have that copy that I just ingested, and I can now get right to work. Well, that also includes, you guessed it, our hash values. So you have the hash values stored and everything during that process as well. So really, really quick and easy to get to work on very, very large files, especially. This process is going to save a slew of time. And now you see our new case ingested with that one single ingest that we just did, and that one single file that we ingested, which is a proprietary CCTV file from a SWAN system. And we can see that in tree view, see the folder structure that it was ingested from, etc., copy frames, do processing, interrogation, and so on and so forth. So we're running a little late. I want to make sure we try and get to some of the questions. Charles, have you been keeping up with
somebody
that?
asked if we could change the name. Can the label names be changed, for example, where it says case number? So there's standard fields that we have created, and then you have, I believe, up to 20 fields that can be customized to describe or annotate your case information, and 20 for your evidence ingest tab. So some of the stuff that you'll see Larry's already created, does the case include video evidence or not? Now you can create drop downs, yes, no. And then, so that would be maybe for the case level, and then for the evidence level, you could say, what kind of video evidence was that? And create a drop down for that. It was in car, it was body worn, it was CCTV. So that's very all customizable to how you would like to organize your data.
So that's all done during the initial set it and forget it processes in your admin configurator. So admin configurator, I'm going to log in here just to show you those custom fields and where you would define them. It would be on the Fields tab. So when we're in Admin Configurator Fields tab, if I wanted to add another custom field, I can label this here and call that whatever field. And then I can say what type it is, text, a numeric field, a date and time field, or a list field, like a drop down. So if I want to use a drop down, we can then click and start building a list, like yes, no, and so on and so forth. So there's our list, and there's our two options. And so do I want this visible? Yes. Do I want it required? Makes it yellow, a required field. So now here's my title, and there's my two options for that field. et cetera, et cetera. We can even auto-populate things that have previous entries, so on and so forth. And again, you have up to 20 of those custom fields on the case form, and then 20 on the download or ingest form as well. So you can leverage them for anything and have all of those fields available for searching, for logging, assigning, doing email notifications. We haven't even got into, scratch the surface on the many ways that QuickDME can automate your workflows. And our largest customer of the solution today started like a lot of people do. You don't want to move your cheese. You want to get in and start leveraging, some of the basic features and hit those high pain points, like a backlog and ingesting evidence. It takes, you have to have your technicians do the ingest so that they can hash and ensure the copy's done and validate and hash again, etc. Well, you can just use that piece of it alone and expedite it.
We've got a question, Larry. How far does Ffmpeg go when it comes to proprietary formats without using the player?
Yeah, so this is something that we've been very adamant about. Ffmpeg is a wonderful tool. It is a great tool, very powerful, but like any tool, ours, Microsoft's, Avid's, you need to understand its strengths and weaknesses. And when it comes to proprietary file formats, you need to understand they're proprietary. And so we can reverse engineer file formats, and we have, as you know, a lot of very smart people in this industry doing that, and they have been very successful in reverse engineering some of them. What we will never be able to do, any of us, is reverse engineer all of the proprietary formats. And furthermore, they may not be able to reverse engineer every type of data inside that format. In other words, metadata, additional streams, etc. There's so many things that can be done to obfuscate. All of that goes to this statement. What are the limitations of Ffmpeg? Well, it depends on what you're trying to do, what your task is at hand. Yes, you will find errors with Ffmpeg processing proprietary containers. Remember, you're throwing out the box your evidence is in. That MP4, for instance, or XYZ file, right, let's say it has an H.264 stream inside of it. Well, if we throw away that XYZ file box, we've not only thrown away metadata regarding that stream that Ffmpeg can see, but what about any other streams or information Ffmpeg can't see? What about subtitles? What about additional video and audio streams, etc.? So always lean heavily on the side of caution when leveraging Ffmpeg or any tool in your workflow dealing with proprietary formats. So I hope that helps address that. Certainly lots more we can do training-wise to help you with that. Now, one of the key things I want to point out before we run out of time, other product updates, Omnivore 3.4, we've shown a little bit of the Ffmpeg Convert interface. In fact, we got a new release of this coming out with even some more improvements on trimming, and marking ins and outs and playing. So look for that soon. But if you have not leveraged Omnivore's Ffmpeg Convert, we'd be happy to show that to you in detail. It has been a huge time saver for a lot of folks since its introduction. Batch processing, saving those logs, extracting frames, and more. Other products released recently, of course, ClearID 3.5 came out for the new release of Photoshop in October. Detective 8.1 has the developer improvements, Spotlight Redact improvements, and then we have our beta out there for Detective in Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects. What are we working on next? Well, we are still working on an archiver update to address Media Composer 2020 and 2021, 2019 through 2021. For those that don't know, Media Composer 2021.2 was released yesterday. So just starting to delve into that. Really excited about all of the changes. It's been such a huge, huge improvement. We also have a new detective release coming that will include that, as well as our all new matrix effects. If you haven't seen our new matrix effect, go back and check out our webinar on making the move to Media Composer 2020. That's on our YouTube channel and website, and I show off a little bit of our matrix effects in there, and of course that omnivore release. So just wanted to get that in there before we wrap things up. Any other questions we got, Charles? Seeing none? Oh, I have one. I've come across zip video files. How is Ocean Systems addressing zip files? Well, we're not addressing zip files in specifically. So for zip files, you could ingest them as you've received them. If that's the way your evidence, you first came into possession of your evidence, ingest the zip file. We are not doing extracting that I'm aware of, and Tone may be taking notes here, but you can ingest that zip file into it. We're not doing any extraction inside. You could certainly extract, hash the zip, extract, hash those files, ingest. So there's a number of ways you could address the zip file situation. Anything else, Charles? Questions?
Oh, I think just would, if anybody's seen enough and they want to go get a license today, you can just go right to the website, go to the store, choose however many licenses you'd like, and you can purchase it right that way, or certainly reach out to us directly if you're looking for a custom configuration with, you know, hardware and et cetera.
Absolutely. So definitely check out our website. If you're not a part of our email listserv, that's available on the website as well. Be sure to sign up for that, because that is the first place we typically put out information regarding releases, training, so on and so forth. So you'll see over here, customer listserv on our website. Join our listserv. And we won't inundate you with marketing stuff, but we do want to make sure that you're kept abreast of what's new and what's coming up. Certainly welcome people to engage on that list as well. Just haven't been leveraging it that much that way lately, but that's what it's for. So also, of course, Twitter and our Ocean Systems channel. So when you're on our website navigating products, if we go to QuickDME, you'll see general information about the products and some screenshots. But down below, we have tabs such as news, specs, videos. And our videos tabs will have some new videos, including on 4.1 up there soon. So be sure to check that out. Again, all of the downloads under our support and downloads page. And that, my friends, is all I had for you today. I really appreciate you joining us for our webinar today. Charles, anything else you want to say before we close off?
Just thanks for joining us. Look forward to talking to you.
Yes, very much. Thanks so much for your time, everybody. We look forward to helping you expedite, automate, secure your digital evidence processing and management. Thanks so much. Have a great day.